What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am, of course, your host, your bastard of ceremonies, Reckless Rexx Ruger. That, if you couldn't tell by those enormous chompers, is my sidekick, silent sidekick, the Freddie Mercury puppet. My guest is here. We're back with another great episode of Pod Scum, where the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy Rexx Ruger, and we about to get into it right now. So let's do it. I'm excited. Firing it up again with your boy Rexx, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. Don't forget that. Martin.
Hey.
Do I got you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you, man. How are you?
I'm fine.
Lost your camera there for a minute. Hey, listen, man. I'm glad we finally got a chance to do this, man. It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
So, you just completed an album of covers and a project you did with your son, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's got to make a project pretty special. I mean, I have a full-grown son, an adult son as well, man. But doing something with him along those lines must make the project all the more special.
It is. It's very special. It's been a lot of fun doing this with him, and since it's taken some time to do it, it's been a really cool process. Like, it's just a cool thing to have together, father and son.
And because you're the dad, you get to like boss him around and stuff.
Yeah, nah, not really, not really.
And I'm curious, though, because this is an album of covers, and there are some really interesting ones on here, Zeppelin, the Allman Brothers, Black Sabbath. Well, when you sit down to choose them, what's the process like in selecting? Because obviously the world has given us millions of great songs to choose from. Are these songs that mean something specifically to you guys?
Yeah. Originally, there was another label involved, and they suggested a couple of them, but most of them are like personal favorites of ours.
Okay.
And it all started with Mississippi Queen.
Yep.
That was the first one we did, and that was it was just to try and do something together just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So we did this cover of Mississippi Queen, and from there it kind of evolved into an album.
And for people that might not know, you obviously play guitar and have sang before with BLINDSTONE. What does your son play?
He plays guitar as well.
He does. Okay.
So,
did you notice musical ability in him at a young age? How did he grasp the guitar? Did you give him lessons? Was it just from watching you over the years?
Well, I did give him lessons later on, but at first he didn't really seem to be that much into the guitar. But I tried to sort of, gently nudge him towards the guitar. Yeah. I gave him stuff for Christmas, and I taught him a few chords, but he really didn't really catch on to it. But then one night he was sitting there with my guitar, and he just trying it out, and he said, Dad, show me another chord. So I did, and he would then bang out those 3 chords for like 10 minutes or so. Show me another one.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was like 4 or 5 chords that night. And then a few weeks later, he and some friends at school, they snuck into the music room at school and had a jam.
Nice.
And that's when the bug really bit him, because he had the experience of making music with others,
with his friends too. Yeah, that's probably
yeah. And from then on, he was really into it. He wrote me that night, all excited, and said, "Oh man, we did this!" And
it's exciting. It's almost like discovering, like learning a new language, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. It's very exciting. I'm 51 years old, and I often lament that I had never grasped an instrument. I have tried at various points in my life, and full disclosure, I will admit that I didn't stick to it. And now I look back after all these years, and I'm pissed at myself.
Yeah.
And I know people will say it's never too late to start. I understand that, man. But I wish I would have done it younger, before I had grown kids and grandkids, and it would have been like a nice skill to have. I think a lot of people knock having musical proficiency if you're not doing it as a career, why bother or whatever? But just knowing it and knowing how to do it, it is really like speaking another language.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is communication. It really is. And especially when you make music with other people. And that's, when I have guitar students, one of my greatest advice is play with other people.
Yeah.
That's what will teach you the most, actually.
And I think a lot of people, if they looked your name up on Google, and I, in preparing my questions in my notes and doing my homework on you, obviously you come up on the Encyclopedia of Metal. You're associated with a lot of metal projects. So I think a lot of, and obviously I have a lot of, rock and metal musicians on this podcast or whatever. So how did you arrive at extreme metal music? What was it that lit the fire for you to do extreme metal music? Because it's obviously it's not everybody's taste. I mean, usually people are on to it or called to it by something that they hear or see.
Yeah. Is this live, by the way?
No, not live. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, the thing is, I got into music, through classic rock, the Beatles, and Jimmy inspired me to play guitar, and my parents would listen to like the Beatles and the Animals, all kinds of stuff, but also more contemporary stuff. And along the way, I got, in my teens, I got fascinated with heavy metal. And I was in a heavy metal band as well, where we would play like Metallica covers and stuff. And then I actually gravitated away from heavy metal for a while, and did a lot of other stuff. And it wasn't until like 2012 I was asked to be a part of an album by Meridian, a band I'm in now. That got me back into heavy metal, because I hadn't been playing it for a long time. But then I discovered all the exciting, subgenres of heavy metal that had had
a lot of them.
Yeah. Obviously, I knew about thrash metal and death metal and that stuff, but that was interesting to be drawn back onto the metal scene in that sense, almost.
And when you're going to create music, what is your creative process like? And by that I mean, when I ask that question on here, I get a lot of people telling me that they get ideas while they're driving in their car, and they're jotting them down, or they're humming them, they're saying them into their phone. They might be at their day job and they're up on a ladder and they're getting ideas and they're writing it down or humming it into a phone. Then you've got creative types who can kind of just say, I'm going to go into a room, I'm going to lock myself in there, and I'm going to create. I'm going to write, I'm going to create music. Well, for you, what's the process like?
Well, generally there has to be, some sort of inspiration.
Okay.
Like, it might be something I just hear in my head, like 2 notes or whatever. But then I usually sit down with the guitar and try to flesh it out. I can write on demand if anybody needs that, but usually there's some kind of impetus that gets it going, and then I sit down with the guitar and I quickly record the ideas on my phone, just me strumming a guitar acoustically. And from there, I either go here into my studio directly, or I keep the idea for a while on the phone until I need it. And then I make a better sounding demo of it. Usually the music first, vocals. If I'm the one writing vocals, they will come last.
Music's first.
Yeah.
Okay.
There have been a few instances of someone, showing me some lyrics, and I would write music to that right away, but it's usually the other way around.
And I've got a list of your projects, your musical endeavors here. I don't know how many of them, and we'll go through them in a few minutes and kind of get updates on all of them. But are you somebody that prefers to stay busy and be in multiple projects rather than kind of put your eggs in one basket? Do you like that kind of creativity, kind of spreading yourself amongst different projects?
I do like, you know, being in several, you know, diverse projects. I mean, there's some blues rock and some heavy metal and some stuff, but it's also because, you know, those bands you know, we usually, you know, family guys or people with jobs, and so much of it isn't like, you know, full time. We're doing this every week kind of bands, you know. So sometimes one let's say I just went through a cycle with Blindstone, and so Blindstone is taking it easy for a while. Then we'll do something with Meridian or some other band.
Okay.
So but sometimes they're all going at once, and that can be kind of
That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah.
but then we deal with that.
And what about touring, man? Touring is such a big part of the business now. I hear it from musicians constantly. You know, obviously, you know, albums don't sell the way they used to back in the day that we remember. You got to get out there and tour, sell merchandise. Do you like that part of the business? Do you still like hitting the road? I mean, you know, it's obviously, you know, you're kind of living out of a suitcase. You're away from home. You're in a van or a bus, or it's not for everybody. I know it's a necessary part of the business. But do you enjoy it?
I do,
yeah.
But also, you know, due to the nature of you know, I have a day job, so we do shorter runs, like a week or 2 weeks,
yeah,
at a time. But I really enjoyed it. It's fun. I mean, as long as you get along with the people you're touring with.
Yeah. I'm starting to realize from talking to musicians on here, and I'm not a musician myself, but I'm starting to really put together that 3 or 4 weeks really seems to be a comfortable number for people. And when they go beyond that, they start to get like, you know, like I'm done with this already.
Yeah, well, that's also the matter of what kind of budget you're touring on. I mean, if you're all living in a van,
yeah,
you
want to kill somebody after 3 weeks, yeah.
But
I guess if you're flying around the world like the Rolling Stones and you're on a private jet, maybe it's and eating caviar, maybe it's not so bad. But
no, I guess you can survive that. But,
yeah, that doesn't sound so bad.
No, but yeah, I mean, due to the nature of things, I can't do those really long tours.
Yeah. And now you said, obviously, you know, you did this project with your son. Where does his musical career go from here? Obviously, you're established. You've done numerous projects, been doing this for a while. You know, you make this album with your son. Does he intend to continue on with some type of musical career? Do you intend to continue to work with him? Does he have a band of his own? Like, what's going to go on with him?
He has a band of his own. Yeah.
Okay.
They're called Krit, which is Danish for chalk. You know, chalk blackboard.
Okay. And now, what's your son's name for people that might not know?
His name is Magnus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's 23 now, so he's got his own adult life going. But he has this band, and I'm actually mixing their EP at the moment. They have an EP. But they sing in Danish.
And what kind of music is this? Is it heavy?
I guess you can detect some heavy stuff in it somewhere, but it's kind of atmospheric, I'd say. A little moody with Danish lyrics, and they have a great keyboard player as well, who just he plays a lot of piano, so that adds a lot to the sound. It's kind of modern, but I do hear a little bit of classic rock in there, here and there. I also hear some 90s influences.
Okay.
But it's really interesting. They're good songs, and I think if they stick with it, I think they could take it somewhere.
And now
But
you mentioned that you're mixing the EP. I just mentioned a couple minutes ago how vastly different the music business is right now. Did you encourage them to do an EP? Is it an EP world nowadays? Because people just don't seem to have the attention span anymore to sit down and listen to LPs anymore. Do you think it's an EP world more nowadays?
it might be. I just saw someone well established the other day. Was it Jeff Tate who said he would be releasing his next album song by song over a couple of years or
A
something?
lot of people are doing that too. Yeah, a single,
Yeah.
a single, a single. You get 4 or 5 of those, and then you get an album.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. It has become much more normal to just put out one song or a couple of songs
Yeah.
at a time. That's okay. I prefer an album myself.
Me too. I'm old school. Yeah.
Yeah. But as far as Magnus's band, I think they just said, well, we have these songs that we'd like to record and try and put out. So there are like 3 songs in there. I don't know what their plans are beyond that. I know they're writing some new stuff. But actually, it's sort of, I mean, of course, the business is vastly different, but the current climate sort of reminds me of like how things were in the 50s.
Yeah.
If people would put out singles and singles and singles.
Right.
And then, they once the singles had run their course, they'd compile those singles onto an album.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the collection of singles.
Right.
And
right.
It's almost like that in a way. Now, I prefer to drop like an album of say 8 or 10 songs. That it feels more natural. But I mean, I guess that's what we got used to, and
it's kind of sad, really. It's kind of sad. It is. It's kind of sad that people can't just find the time in their busy days to put down their technology or staring at their phone and actually drop a needle or put an album on and just take the experience. You know what I mean? It used to be, you drop that needle and you were in for the whole ride,
Yeah. But I mean, it says a lot about the kind of lives we live today, doesn't it?
Very much so. Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, this song or this, and then on to the next thing. I mean, who has time to sit down and, like you said, put down the needle and just tune out of everything else for like an hour and check this out?
Yeah.
Very few people do.
I know. And so you got your 23-year-old son, more or less embarking on a music career. As I mentioned earlier, you having done this for as long as you have, are you giving him any advice on how to navigate through the music industry in today's world? And what would the advice be?
Well, the advice would be to just do their thing, and if they if they run into any contracts, run them by me.
Yeah. There you go, young musicians out there. Beware of the contract. That's right.
Yeah.
Wise word.
Always read the fine print.
Always. Yeah. Got to do that. Yeah. Well, I don't even know if music industry, if it really even exists anymore, though, does it? I mean, a contract. I mean, it seems like even well-known, well-established bands sometimes, they can't even get on labels.
Yeah. Well, what labels do is obviously they charge a slice of the pie.
Sure. Yeah.
I like working with labels because the promotion side, the logistical side of like a release, that's not really my strongest
right
side. I'm kind of this crazy artist.
Yeah. You want to make the music, you don't want to deal with the business end of stuff necessarily.
I'm not as disciplined about that stuff as I could be, so
yeah,
I prefer having someone help me in that regard.
Sure. Now let me take the projects one by one here. Now, Anchorite, still doing anything with Anchorite? Anchorite put out an album in 2020, Further from Eternity.
We're working on a new one right now, actually.
Okay.
As far as I know, Leo, the singer, is going to do the final vocals.
Okay.
This coming weekend, I believe.
Okay.
We've been working on it for a long time, but it's nearing completion. I think it could be out next year, I think.
Okay, so possible new music in 2025 from Anchorite. What about Blindstone for people that might want to have an update on them?
Uh, well, Blindstone, we put out an album last year, Scars to Remember,
Yep.
and we did some dates around that. Played around Europe a little bit and Denmark, and right now we're sort of taking it easy because, well, for one thing, our drummer left.
Yeah.
uh, no drama. He just picked, another path. He works as a movie composer and
Okay.
music games and stuff, and he got very busy with that. So he preferred to take that direction. So right now we don't have a permanent drummer, but also Jesper, my dear friend, who's the bass player, we've been playing together since 1991 in all kinds of bands. He's having some. He's got a, what do you call that? Like a herniated disc in his neck at the
I've been
moment.
there. I've been there. I work in healthcare, so my day job is a nurse, but I also have had herniated discs in my own back. So I know both sides of it. I've treated people with it, and I've experienced it myself. So not fun.
No. So he's getting some physical therapy for that, and because it's painful, of course.
Very.
It affects his playing. It gets into his fingers and stuff. So he needs to have that dealt with before we really move on.
Okay. How about Chalice of Sin 2021? You guys put out a self-titled album.
Yeah. I don't think there'll be any more from that.
Okay. Okay. So that project is going to be put to bed.
Yeah, I believe so, but I'm not the mastermind behind it. So
okay.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe someday down the
Okay.
line. Oh, we need to do another. I doubt it though. I think it's over.
Kind of one of those never say never, but
Yeah, well,
see what the future holds.
I'm like that with almost anything.
Yeah.
Never say never, but it looks to me like Wade Black, the singer, he moved on to another band he's doing.
And now you did give us an update on Meridian, correct? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we are also recording right at the moment.
Okay. So you expect new music in 2025 from Meridian?
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
what about Legend Revisited?
We're we're actually it seems like we're going to try and do that project is kind of special because it's essentially a re-recording of the original Legend album,
right,
with altered lyrics, but it seems that Ray, he's the holdover from the original Legend band. He wants to do another album with songs he wrote right around after he left Legend, back in whenever 1980 or whenever it was. So we're going to try working on that next year.
And this CROSSROAD Overdrive, is it something that you and your son plan on going out and doing live, or was just a studio project?
We talked about it would be cool to do it live, but
yeah.
We obviously have our lives going on and other bands and stuff. It would be cool, but there would also have to be some kind of demand for it, So again, never say never. But right now there are no plans to make it into a live band. We are talking about putting out another album at some point, though.
And when you do when you do these albums with your son, will they always be cover songs? Have you and your son thought about doing original music? I know he has another band. You've got your projects, but have you guys thought of original music together?
We actually talked about writing some original stuff.
Okay.
Along the same lines of those classic rock songs, but our own stuff. So, that's the best answer I can. We haven't written anything yet because we haven't really had the time to do that, and this album just came out, so we'll see when it happens. But I have a feeling that's the way we'll go.
And now let me ask you a couple of my subjective questions here that I always thread into all my interviews. Well, first I'm going to ask you, you did mention Jimi Hendrix at the top of the interview. And he might be the only name. You might have some other names to throw in there, but who would you say has had the most influence on your style of guitar playing?
Well, at first, Jimi Hendrix for sure.
Okay.
He is my favorite guitar player in the world. That's just, there's him and there's anybody else. But later, later there were other guys that inspired me a whole lot as well. Stevie Ray Vaughan for one.
Amazing.
Jeff Healey. And then I got very much into John Norum from Europe, the guitar player from Europe.
Okay. Yep.
But there was a solo album of his first solo album called Total Control was really important to me. And to this day, I really like that album, and his guitar playing also inspired me.
There's not a lot of people who shout out Jeff Healey. It warms my heart that you shouted him out. A lot of people forget about him sometimes. And what he used to do was pretty incredible. For people that don't know, he was blind and used to play the guitar flat on his lap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looked crazy. I saw him live once.
Yeah.
And it's just an amazing experience to witness that.
Yeah.
And then, and he would jump out of his chair and jump around the stage. You thought, how is this? He always made it back to the chair.
Be careful, Jeff.
Yeah.
How about starstruck? I know that we're grown men. We're not going to turn into fanboys or whatever. But have there been people in your travels in the music business that you've gotten to meet that has kind of really had an effect on you and kind of blown you away?
I had when I was in my 20s, I had a very fortunate encounter along with Jesper, the bass player from BLINDSTONE, and his brother-in-law. We ended up, recording with George Clinton.
Wow, that's a big one.
In Los Angeles, and that had a real profound influence on me because I was at the time I was playing pretty commercial, what do you call it, commercial pop rock music, and I was sort of fighting for space as a guitar player in the context that I were in, and George just asked me to just go for it, and just play more like Jimmy, he said.
Well, there's no problem there, right? Fine.
And that whole experience just blew my mind. It's crazy. Billy Preston overdubbed keyboards on it, and Bobby Womack would sing on it as well. And
wow.
Yeah, that was just. It took me years to come down from that experience. It was just so obviously that was and it's a nice thing to have on your resume.
Absolutely, you're not kidding. That's certainly some good material to pad the resume with. Absolutely, I mean to be in a room and jam or play on any level with George Clinton is amazing.
Yeah.
And now, what about when you're listening to music? When you listen to music, like around your house, or like when you're not creating it, but you're listening from a fan standpoint, are you able to find any new bands or new music out there that excites you? Or do you tend to be that guy that kind of like just, if I'm going to listen to music, I'm going to listen to my old favorites, my staples, the stuff that I know?
It's kind of like that, the latter, the old favorites.
Yeah.
Of course, I check out if there's a band you've heard of, or if some friends have done something, I will check it out. But as it stands at the moment, I'm actually not listening to a whole lot of rock music.
Yeah,
because I get so much of it, and being a music teacher, I get a lot of loud music today. So
now teaching, I'm interested in the teaching part, man. You just said that you teach music as well.
Yeah.
Now, I know from my mother being a school teacher, not a music teacher, but a school teacher, when you're working with trying to get other people to learn something, it can be frustrating, takes a lot of patience or whatever. Everybody's not cut out to do it. How did you land in the teaching field?
It actually started really early, where I took over this what you call it, this group of really young guitar students uh, from someone else, and I was only like 16 or 17 years old at the time. So that was really, and from there I actually progressed to teaching music class, ensemble playing in that school. So I got into it sort of organically, starting out with these guitar students, and then moving on, and then later I went to to college to get the papers to
Make it official.
yeah. So that's how it worked. Yeah,
Is it rewarding to you? Do you enjoy it?
it's very rewarding. I love doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know just passing on the joy and the passion for music
Yeah.
to the kids. Some kids will do, yeah, okay, it's music. So some will get really into it and will really catch on to it.
Do most of them want to, do most of them get, like, what's a common misconception? Like, when people come in to learn, like they want to be rock stars in a short amount of time, right? A lot of times, is that a big issue? Getting kids to practice?
Yeah, I mean, if you teach solo instrument, uh, there are some students who think, well, you can teach me the whole thing.
Right.
And really, the secret is that you actually have to become your own teacher. It has to become your own project. You will need the curiosity, the drive, the energy to pursue it yourself, because
Yeah.
you could have the best teacher in the world. If you're not actively pursuing it yourself, you won't get there.
Right. You got to want to. There's got to be a desire to really hone the craft and really take this thing and kind of immerse yourself in it.
Yeah.
You kind of got to throw yourself into it. What about from a fan standpoint again? And I'm sure you've been to a lot of shows. Has there been one that's really stuck out, a live experience where you went to see somebody and it really stayed with you? And I'm sure, again, you've probably been to a lot of concerts.
Yeah, I have. There've been a lot. I mean, I mentioned Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah.
That was an amazing experience. My dad took me to see him. I was 13 years old. That was just a mind-blowing experience. I saw Steve Vai at a club in Copenhagen many years ago. It was just the most intense musical thing I ever seen. And one might surprise you, David Bowie.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Was incredible concert. I saw him in '97. It's one of the greatest things I ever witnessed. It was just so, I don't know, I'm not sure what I had imagined what I was expecting, but it was so alive and so musical and energetic and musically extremely proficient. The musicians. It was just a really intense concert.
Now, I think. Go ahead.
Yeah, but I'll have to dig to think of. I've seen a lot of shows, but actually some of the most rewarding ones weren't the obvious ones.
Right,
Like
more big names. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I said David Bowie. I mean that's a big name, but I'm not sure what I was expecting, and I went away from that show just elevated. It was an incredible experience.
Now this CROSSROAD OVERDRIVE album, that's also the name of the project, though, correct?
Yeah.
I listened to all these cover songs, and you did a wonderful job and did them all justice. I'm sure you're very proud of all the work. Is there one or two on there that you particularly look back on and say, "Wow, we really fucking nailed that one"? I mean, they're all great. I don't want to pick and choose between any of them, but is there one or two that you're extremely satisfied with? I mean, even exceeded your expectations?
you know, my expectations are usually pretty high, so I'm not sure. But I really like them all, but I think I like what we did with "Love the One You're With."
Yeah,
The
you know what? I was going to say that one too because it might not necessarily be an obvious choice, and I think a lot of people are going to look at it and say, "Love the One You're With." You know, a lot of people have covered Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. Yeah, I mean, and you coming from the metal world, I think people expect some hard rock choices on there. That one kind of comes out of left field though, and it's refreshing to see it on there.
Yeah, I've always just love that song, and I wanted to see how would it work in a sort of a heavier rock
Yeah.
way. Obviously, we slowed it down and changed the feel of it somewhat, but I'm really happy with that one.
Yeah,
It was really difficult to sing, but because of the 3-part harmonies on the chorus.
Yeah, well, who did that originally?
Stephen Stills.
That's right. Yeah, and man, oh man, yeah. You talk about harmony. Now, was that just Stills on his own?
It's from his solo album originally. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't remember because I love Crosby, Stills, and Nash. I mean, you know, and they harmonize and they have such beautiful voices. I couldn't remember if that was something that they did or was specifically him.
Well, they went on to do it. And I think it's on some of their live releases. You know, Crosby, Nash, and Young even, I think maybe. But originally it's a Stephen Stills song from his. Yeah.
Now here's one that I usually thread in here with almost all my guests, and usually they have either a definitive answer or they have to think about it for a little bit. I get the feeling you'll be somebody with a definitive answer though. If I were to take you and drop you on a desert island and you could only take one album with you, what would the desert island album be?
Wow.
And I guess the idea of being on an island with I think the idea of being on an island alone fucking sucks. But I mean, with only one album, it's even fucking worse. But I mean, yeah, it's certainly grim.
Yeah, okay, of course. All this, you know, this is provided you broued a record player to the.
That's true too. I guess one of those has to wash up on shore too. Yeah. I'd have to say the album that actually got me going on guitar. It's called Jimi Hendrix Concerts. It's like a live compilation. Okay. Smart too. Smart taking the compilation album too. I like that. Yeah.
No, that would be yeah.
Now, obviously, Jimi Hendrix is one of those guys that's talked about among guitar players, man. You know, you got your certain guys, and you mentioned some of them already. Your Stevie Ray Vaughns, your Jeff Healey's, you know, you commonly you hear your Eric Clapton's, your Eddie Van Halen's. But Jimmy is one of those guys that I don't know if there's ever going to be enough time that's going to elapse where Jimmy's ever going to be forgotten about, man. What is it about Jimmy, man, in Jimi Hendrix? And of course, you being a guitar player can certainly speak on this and expound on this. You know, what is it about Jimi Hendrix that will just always make him fucking timeless and his guitar playing always respected?
I think much of it is just you know, his that uncompromising approach to his music. And you could just hear it. It's just death-defying sometimes, the way he jumped into solos and would try crazy things. But also, I mean, just the sound. He changed the guitar sound so much. I mean, for what is acceptable as the guitar sound, and I feel he wrote the song to go with it as well.
Yeah.
To me, it's just the whole package. And of course, he was at the right time. In the right place.
Yeah.
But what I can tell you, what grabs me is just that otherworldliness of his sound. To me, it just sounds bigger than so many other guitar players.
Yeah. I kind of get what you're saying. Even not being a musician, you know, myself, I get what you're saying about that. Like some of these guys, you know, I think the reason they're not forgotten about and they don't go, you know, off into the sunset and we remember them is because, yeah, they are such larger than life, you know, personas.
Yeah. You know, Eddie Van Halen is another one. I mean, he also had that, you know, larger than life quality about him, but also in his playing, he was able to make it sound like more than just him, strumming a guitar. I mean, it sounded again bigger.
Yeah, yeah. So, so it sounds like with all of your various projects here, that 2025 will probably be shaping up to be a busy year where you will have, other than just the Crossroad Overdrive album, you will have more stuff coming out.
Yeah, yeah. It seems so. Yeah, I hope it will be out in 20. The Anchorite for sure, and Meridian. I'm sure they will come out in 2025.
And so if people want to keep up with what's going on, with anything that you're doing, if they're fans of yours or whatever, where's the best place to stay tapped in? Instagram, Facebook. I mean, I know everybody's all over the place now on social media. So
I mostly use Facebook, but I'm also hooked up to Instagram, and but you can share across those platforms. So
yep. And the album right now is Crossroad Overdrive, and that just came out like within days here, right?
It was last Friday.
Friday, yeah. So it's very, very new, very new. Yeah. And it is you and your son and a full band.
Well, the band is Magnus and me, basically.
Okay. Oh, so you guys are not only playing the guitars, you guys are playing the other instruments as well?
Oh, we have Peter Hermansson, a Swedish drummer, a good friend of mine, playing on the album.
Okay.
But it's Magnus and me on guitars. I also played bass and I did the vocals.
Okay.
Except one song, Stormbringer, that was another friend of mine, also from Sweden, named Matti Alfonsetti, who sang that one.
Okay. Well, it's awesome, man. I mean, you did these songs. You did these songs a lot of justice, man. And I really enjoy your playing on all the other stuff that you do too, man. And I know it took us a while to, we got a time difference in between us. I mean, you're overseas, I'm here in the States or whatever. But I'm glad we finally got a chance to get some time and actually nail this down. It was enjoyable talking to you, man. And we're in touch now on social media. So when 2025 comes around and you got more stuff coming out, I'd love to have you back on for another chat.
I'll let you know about any developments.
Keep me in the loop. Yeah. And for sure, we'll jump on here and we'll do it again.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I appreciate it, Martin. Thank you so much, sir. It was an honor, man. Really.
Thanks for having me.
You got it, buddy. Good talking to you. Enjoy the rest of your day, my man.
You too.
Thank you, brother.
Bye.
There he goes, folks. Martin Jepsen Andersen, who just put out an amazing cover album, accompanied playing guitar alongside his 23-year-old son, which is such a great fucking thing. It's called Crossroad Overdrive is the project and the name of the album. It's cover versions of great songs, really rocked up, heavy, but I wouldn't say overtly heavy. There's covers on there, Black Dog from Zeppelin, Mississippi Queen, Whipping Post from the Allman Brothers, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Love the One You're With by Stephen Stills, as we talked about there. Just a great album. I don't have them all in front of me right now. I probably fucking should. And if you want to bear with me here, I can actually probably tell you what songs are on there. Black Dog, Cities on Flame, Whipping Post, In My Way, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, Not Fragile, In From the Storm, Mississippi Queen, Stormbringer, and Love the One You're With. 10 amazing cover tunes. And again, it's called Crossroad Overdrive. That is the name of the project, as well as the name of the album. And of course, Martin Jepsen Andersen's guitar playing in many metal and hard rock projects. As he said, new Anchorite will be coming next year. Their last album was in 2020, Further From Eternity. Blindstone, he gave us an update on what's going on there. Chalice of Sin put out an album in 2021, a self-titled. Martin kind of alluded to the fact that project might be on permanent hiatus, let's just say. We never want to say never. And Meridian also, he gave us an update on new stuff coming from them as well. So Martin, always a busy guy, man. Plus he's teaching, passing on the gift of music to people, which there is nothing better than that. And I really appreciate him joining me. We've been talking, you know, via message for quite a long time. He's overseas. As I said, I'm here in the States. We have like a 6-hour time difference. I have a day job. So, you know, us linking up took a while, man, but I'm glad we got a chance to have that chat, man. The very talented Martin Jepsen Andersen from numerous projects. Go do your homework. Go check out things that he's appeared on. Phenomenal guitar player, man. So hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I'm going to give myself a look here and admire, taking a time out here. I'm going to enjoy the view for a second. And that, of course, is rockstar genetics right there, because as you know, you are looking at Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. And when I need a little help with the quaff, there's what I go to, folks. This is called product placement in a podcast. They don't know I'm doing it, but Aquanet, you're welcome, because you've got the son of a rock god endorsing your product. Now, mind you, you can use this stuff. It won't get you up to this level. That's impossible. We all know this. It's genetics, baby. I've got them on my side. You probably don't, but you will step your game up levels. Not to the point where you will be the Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. You will not be able to replicate the son of glam, the front man for the band, adored by millions of fans, the peanut butter to your jam, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, Mr. Wop, Bop, Loo, Bop, Wop, bam, bam, shazam, hot damn. But you can step your game up levels. And it's really all about levels, folks. It is. That being said, let's get the obligatory promotional stuff out of the way. Make sure to like and follow Pod Scum on Facebook, and also make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this channel to stay tapped in to the place where the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy Rexx Ruger, aka Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. No place else do you get conversations that are this bad ass. So stay tapped in. And like I always say when I end these things, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.